What has my experience been like going through the mommy makeover? To be honest, it has not been a good one. And I can elaborate on that.
Yes, please do.
There's a few things I want to say. The first thing I want to say is I want to say to all the people who have come before me that has had a spouse, a significant other that has gone through this procedure. What I want to say to those people that have not alerted gentlemen like myself is, what I want to say to them is, shame on them. The hell with them. Because they should have.
They know to alert you.
They should have at least put something out to say, hey, look, the side effects in this is going to be you, meaning me.
And what do you mean by side effects for you?
What do I mean by side effects for me? Well, when you got back from Mexico, to be honest with you, the first thing I thought is, I think they sent a different person back. Because I really had to check your medicine, because I thought you were taking crazy pills. Because you accused me of throwing stuff at your head when I sat it next to you.
You didn't sit it next to me, you threw it at my head.
You accused me of not helping you at the time I was helping you.
You were not.
You were just a different person, and for the first 2 or 3 days, all I heard was, Melissa does everything. Is her name Melissa?
No, my nurse.
What's her name?
It's not Melissa.
What's her name?
It's my nurse, Emily.
Emily. I'm sorry. Emily has done everything.
Emily did do everything.
I get that, but I'm not Emily. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a healthcare worker. And I think when you got back, you assumed I was all three of those things, and I'm not. But I want to be the advocate for the people that's going to follow behind me, and just let them know that if they have a significant other that's going to go through this procedure, the best thing I could tell them is either have a lot of patience or get the hell out.
Or why can't they just go with that person and then know what to do when they come back?
That's an option.
Yes, that is an option.
That's not the option I chose.
Yes.
Everybody's not going to choose that option. But for the people that chooses that option, hey, my hat's off to you.
And then how is that person supposed to get help, though? So if they get the hell out, how are they supposed to help their spouse?
Well, what happens in this process is, I think the spouse actually thinks, once again, the person that's going to help them is an official licensed healthcare worker. We're not. We're here to help you. We are not here to cure you.
Well, there's no cure. You just gotta get better.
That's all we can do. But don't treat us like we are a licensed healthcare worker, because a lot of times I have to follow your lead to find out what they did. I don't know what they did when you were there, so you have to tell me. You were assuming that I knew. I don't know. You were assuming that when I saw you hurting, I was supposed to act calm. I don't like seeing you hurt. I don't normally see you hurt.
Okay.
When you left from here, you were just fine. When you got back, you were hurting. You were mean. You were.
I was not mean.
You were a lot of things that you normally weren't. And for the people who kind of follow in my footsteps to be on my side of this, which this is not about me. But since I was thrust into this, I didn't ask for this. So since I was thrust into this, the person that's going to go through this with the surgery has to understand that they have to help us as well. They have to let us know, especially if they didn't go, what do they need to do? You don't have to. You can tell them in a certain kind of way. You can be nice about it. You don't have to be mean. The first few days, it didn't go well for either one of us, because she was a person who was demanding, and I'm the person that doesn't take demanding too well. So that didn't go well. But since then, it's kind of smoothed out, and most people on her Facebook page will always tell her how beautiful she is and stuff like that. Someone asked me the other day about what do I think. to me, it was never about beauty. It's always about her health. I thought she was beautiful before she left. It's never about how she's going to look in the end. It's always, for me, about her getting through this, coming out healthy, and us going on with our lives. You know, this other crap is superficial for me, because I was happy to where I was. I got thrust into this, so hey, you know, so I do the best I can.
It wasn't your body.
I do. Plus, it wasn't my body.
Yeah, it wasn't your body.
You know, and I respect her for going through it and saying, hey, you know what? This is what I'm going to do, because a lot of people don't have the courage to do it. She did have the courage to do it. But damn it, I'm going to tell the rest of you ladies, men, whoever going to do this, respect the other person as well, because if you don't, you're going to have problems. Did the pop live up to what I was expecting? At this point, I would say yes and no. And no, because she's still going through a healing process. So let me get to the end of this, and then I'll let you know about the pop. But the yes part is she's happy. If she's happy with the results of what has transpired through the surgery, then I'm happy. But for my personal benefit, stay tuned. Off camera, you mentioned that there was something I forgot about this whole procedure. What is that I forgot?
Well, what he forgot about this whole procedure is that it is my body, and I am the one that was going through the pain. I am the one that had the scars. So, for instance, when I was in Mexico, it's a healing process that you're going through, and your scars are healing. You don't need to come home and then have someone like, I wasn't used to seeing you like that. Whereas, you know, when I was in Mexico, at least they say, okay, Sabrina, you're healing well. It's looking good. At least now I feel like, okay, I'm getting better. But in this case, even when I would say, okay, what do you think about this? Does it look like it's getting better? He would ignore it. He wouldn't. It was like I got no feedback from, like.
And why?
Okay, well, I didn't want to see you hurt. I didn't want to see you this. I didn't want to see that. When you left home, you didn't have that. When you come back, now you have this. Which I knew I would have these scars when I come back. And so most of them are, you know, starting to heal actually quite well. But even just to say around the nipples, like, okay, well, I think it's, you know, or touch right here, you can tell that it's starting to heal better. And then he probably put one little finger on it and not really give me any acknowledgement of the healing process. And so I know he talked about beauty and it's no big deal to him, but every woman wants to know that they're beautiful. At least have their person who is their spouse or their significant other acknowledging that they're beautiful. And so just to not hear that for a minute, and I know I had all this stuff, and I know he said I was mean and that I was demanding, but it was a little bit different because I was used to being in a facility where they just took care of me. I didn't have to worry about anything. The nurse would make sure my dressing got changed. They would help me get showered. They would help me put on the garments. And so coming home, it was like, okay, well, I need help doing some of these things. And I understand, you know, maybe I didn't know that he would take it in that way, is like, okay, well, I'm not your nurse, Emily. But even from when he would start to help me, and the next day I'm like, okay, well, I still need help. What do you need help with? Well, the same thing that I needed help with yesterday. I didn't change. I still need to be able to get this garment on. I still need to be able to get it hooked. So that's kind of really why we were going back and forth. And probably part of this too is I really don't even know if he was even comfortable with the changes, even though it's still going through a healing process, because I didn't leave like this. But to come back like this, I think he was thinking, okay, well, I don't know what this is going to be like. And all of a sudden, you know, I didn't have these boobs, but now I have these boobs. For just an example, a bathing suit. So I put on this bathing suit and I came out, and he really didn't acknowledge me at first. And then he asked me to turn around, and then he asked me, well, are you gonna wear that out? And I said, yeah, I plan on wearing it out. And so anyway, he said that he wasn't comfortable with that part of it. But to me, it was more like, I came out for some acknowledgement at least on what do you think? And I didn't get that. So, but then later on, he did say, well, you look better, and his exact words were, you look the best I've seen you in a bathing suit. So I don't know how most women would like, what do you mean by that? But I took that as the positive part of that. So
was it the best you've seen yourself?
Yes, it was the best I've seen
there
myself. But sometimes from your significant other or your spouse, you want to hear things a little bit different than that. So then in my mind, I took it to mean like, okay, well, he's fine as long as I'm walking around by the pool with my belly hanging out and no boobs.
You never had a belly hanging out.
Well, my belly was kind of
you was
big.
always covered.
Yeah, well, anyway, it was because of my belly. And so anyway, I don't have to cover my belly like that anymore. So that was really, you just want some acknowledgement on the fact that you are going through this change and that you're progressing in it, and that the person that you are with feels that you are beautiful, even when you're not at that point that is your full healing process.
How would you respond to what feedback based off what Henry said about, like, because he was addressing, like, to the guys out there that are supporting their spouse? What would you say to the guys that he was talking to?
I would say this, because I've talked to other women who have gone through this, is that support her, acknowledge her, even if she's not for the point where she will end up being. Tell her she's beautiful, even if you ain't feeling that way right now, but at least acknowledge that person is going through this process. Because as women, we just want to hear those words. And then when we don't hear those, then I think you look for something else. You look, and I think that's what's happened to other women, is that all of a sudden they're like, okay, well, somebody else is saying some things that maybe my husband isn't saying, or maybe my significant other isn't saying, and then that puts a strain on relationships. So I think the thing is just to be understanding, just like he wants me to be understanding, and maybe I just wasn't, because I was the one going through this, but he, knowing that it wasn't just me, I guess I should say I wasn't the only one going through it, because he was going through it also. So there needs to be understanding on both sides. First of all, investigate a little bit about it. Find a doctor that you feel comfortable with. Talk to people who have used that doctor in the past. Decide if that's something that you want to go through. Do you really want to make this change to your body? And then are you willing to go through the process that it takes to get to where you want to? Because initially, like my doctor said, he goes, Sabrina, at first you're going to look like Frankenboobstein because of the surgery. But over time, it starts to heal and the swelling goes away. So you have to know that you don't just come out of this and like, oh my gosh, look at my body, I'm just so beautiful. No, it takes some time to go through this. And some people will say that's vain to talk about our bodies in this way and to want to feel that way, but I would say it is the exact opposite of that, because now I can put on clothes that I couldn't put on before. Things that I might have put on before that I said, oh, I don't really like that, I can put that on now and like, oh, I love that. And it just gives you a feeling of feeling good about your body and healthy and feeling good in the clothes that you put on. And when you feel good in the clothes that you put on, you present yourself in a way that shows that you have the confidence that maybe you hadn't shown it before. Although my girlfriend tells me, Sabrina, you already had the confidence, so this is just gonna like go off, you're gonna explode now. But I do think that there's a lot of women out there that are thinking about this, that just haven't jumped because they're afraid of what others will say about them wanting to change something or degrade them because they want to change something in their body. But I say this, God didn't give you the surgeon. God put surgeons on this earth for a reason. They gave them the minds, they gave them the artistic ability to do what they do. And so find the right person to do it. And it is your choice, no one else's choice, but your choice as to what you want to do for your body.